What's going on,
Yeah, let's
everyone? You're
hear it.
listening to 99 Yards here with your host, iBot. And today, we got a special guest on the podcast. You want to
hmm
introduce yourself?
There you go. What's going on, y'all? My name is OGDaBeast, aka Sports Guy Chris. Happy to be here.
Yep. So he has a great sports page on TikTok, and we're going to be talking about some of his sports takes. And yeah, let's get right into it. If you're on Anchor, there's going to be a 30-second announcement we got to make. If you're on YouTube, we're going to get right to the point. So let's talk about how you got started with TikTok. What's the story about that?
Once again, long story short, I was originally on here as a user, just a regular guy swiping, trying to see what the app is about.
Mm-hmm.
Drew some interest to it. I saw a lot of 2K content on here, and I got a guy that's really, really good at the game, and he was interested in, being a content creator. So I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, it's a lot of nice 2K, enjoyable 2K content on here, and it's very easy to do. Why don't you could just record your highlights or whatnot, snap it, throw it on there, get views, and you good at the game. Link one and two together. So he procrastinated with it for a while. So then I'm like, it dawned on me. I had a light bulb on, but I'm like, you do sports. Why don't you just put your stuff on there? So my first video, I took a snippet of, because I have a YouTube channel. Follow me, subscribe to my YouTube, OGDaBeast. But I took a little 30-second clip from one of my YouTube videos, and I posted it up there, and I got like 1,000 likes in like the first hour. I'm like, oh, this can work.
Yeah.
So then that turned into another one, and then I started showing my face on there, and it took off from there.
Yeah. So, what's it like getting content? Like, how do you go about it? Like, OG, I was talking to him, and he was like, I just spend 10 minutes just watching creators, and maybe just if I can't find anything, just duet their videos.
With me creating, see, I'm an artistic person in my own right. I'm creative in my own right. So even if I do see something that I do like on TikTok and I know I can make it better, I might take an idea here or there, but I'm gonna make it a completely different thing, if you know what I mean. Like it's a lot of content creators on TikTok. For instance, I'm going through it right now. It's a lot of guys that see what I'm doing because my page is rapidly, getting bigger and bigger by the day. And, they see what I'm doing and they want to try to take the concept and emulate it, but is a literal copy and paste. Like you couldn't switch up some aspect of it to make it yours. Like I see literal copy and paste of my ideas. And I get that because you want to follow the trend, but I'm creative. I just think of ways to reach out to my secret. Here's my secret. I'm about to drop my secret to you right here on your podcast.
Yeah,
Here's my secret of what I do. Exclusive content. This is what I do. All I do is try to find a way to make a video, not to be controversial, but to get the audience to want to engage. If you can make quality content that people have nothing to say about, or you can make quality content that somebody may have something to say about, which can cause an engagement, an argument, a debate in the comments. And that's what you want. The more comments, the more views, the more likes, etc. So that's what I try to reach for.
Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, like a lot of people, they think about TikTok, and the first thing they think about is content creators like Charlie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, the people who dance and stuff like that. What do you think about that? And what do you say to those people?
I mean, I see a lot of that getting emulated too, but I saw an avenue with sports that it's not oversaturated, and that's the difference between this and YouTube. If you want to dance on TikTok, I think that's what TikTok's began to be about. Who can dance and entertainment sales. So pretty girls dancing, twerking, doing whatever. If that's your thing, do it by all means. It's not mine. I saw avenue through sports. It wasn't overly saturated, like I mentioned. YouTube is probably a million guys trying to talk about football and basketball, and I'm just one, squirrel in the field. But this was a situation I felt like can be dominated. You know what I mean? And there's only a couple of big fish in this pond. So it's like, if you can find your way to get inside of here, you can potentially, be trouble or, dominate the app if you can be successful and put out some good content. That's the number one thing, good content.
Who are some people that you watch?
Well, OJ Knows was the first dude that actually I had 150, 200 followers, and he was the first guy that I saw that I was impressed with. It's especially me, I know my stuff. So it's kind of hard to impress me. So if you impress me, I'm like, okay, I like this guy. And OJ Knows was one guy that I saw when one of the first few sports guys I saw. And he impressed me. He reached out to me, wasn't afraid to talk, because some guy, he had like 6,000, 7,000 at the time. And I'm sitting over here with 200. Yeah. And I'm like, most guys, they wouldn't reach out to you. So, I always challenge him a little bit in his videos, commenting back and forth with his takes, disagreeing with him, trying to see where his head was at. And, he fired back at me, didn't hesitate. Donnie G. Buckets is another one. I enjoy watching his content. Recently, it's been guys like Fenelized Sports, guys like Mr. Jack Football, Guru Griff. I enjoy watching those guys' content. We go back and forth a lot. But yeah, those pretty much the guys I watch. Look out for, rather. I might be, if I'm missing somebody, I apologize, but that's pretty much what it is right now.
Yeah. So as y'all know, if y'all being a fan of the podcast, OJ Knows as being a guy that has come on the podcast before, and he's a cool guy. And I think same with what he started was like the categories, right? And I saw your TikTok today. It was like it was like you said OJ Knows started that. What do you think about that? Like,
that's what I mean when we were just talking about this earlier. Literal copy and paste of see, me and OJ talked about it, and he mentioned that he made a mistake. He mentioned that the first video he did like that, such and such by category, it went viral, and he didn't immediately capitalize on it by producing another one and another one and another one. Instead, other content creators started to emulate and copy and paste that idea that were bigger than him at the time, bigger content creators than him. So he would get overshadowed. And then when he would try to, capitalize off of his own idea, it made him look like the copycat now, but originally it was his idea. So that I learned from that, because I recently had a video that hit 1 million views. And I talked to OJ about it, and he's like, capitalize off of that. Don't make the same mistake I did. And I did that, and I came out with another one and another one and another one before somebody else could try to steal the idea. So I think it's crazy. That's why every time I see something, linebackers by category, running backs by I think about him, because I know that's his stuff. Yeah. So that's why I went out of my way and duetted that video on purpose, because this guy was getting a lot of likes and a lot of comments. He was getting a lot of traffic from that video, and he didn't shout out OJ. So I went out of my way to duet that video to specifically shout him out. And I might do that if I see, any video like that. And it's crazy because it's the same way he did it. Lined up to the left, using basically the same, categories he used: best, underrated, overrated, potential. That's his stuff.
It was the same exact stuff. I saw like
same exact. Yeah.
Again, I brought him on the podcast exactly like after I saw that video. The same video, I saw it on my For You page, and I was like, this actually is really interesting. So I brought him on the podcast. Yeah. And it was like something I didn't think about. I was like, that's something that's like so like simple if you think about it, because it's just I was like, how did no one think about that? And this guy
exactly.
It's like just every single category. It's like, wow.
Staying ahead of the curve, man. That was smart by him. But I mean,
and then I watched the other ones, and it's like the same exact thing. And it's
and it's a lot of other and I hate to see other content creators getting 400, 500,000 off of his idea, and he's getting 2,000, 3,000. And it's like, those should be his views.
Yeah.
That's why I went out of my way to do that right now. Yeah. I got a hot hand right now. So I got a hot hand right now with TikTok. So if there's anybody I'm looking out for right now over everybody, is OJ Knows, because he was the only one that reached out to me when I was at 200 followers, and he didn't care about that. So if there's anybody, it's him.
Yeah, and he's humble, because like I had him on the podcast, and he was like, I took a guy who had, I think, Overtime Mikey or something, and he was like, I got more like views, and I felt bad about that. I was like, you did your thing. It is
what it is. Yeah.
But let's get into some of your content. Let's start off with, you already see the Eagles hat, and I'm a Giants fan. Giants fan. Yeah. So, but here's a funny part. We're gonna get into best running backs, and you don't even have an Eagles running back. You have another guy who's in the division, not my running back, Ezekiel Elliott, as your number one.
Definitely.
You want to talk about that?
A lot of people that's probably been the thing that I'm getting backfired the most about is the Ezekiel Elliott pick, especially with me being an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
You see the Carson Wentz. No, which way is he? Is he that way?
It's over
No,
there.
that's Dirk. That's
Yeah.
Carson. Okay, yeah. But you know the Zeke take. Look, in order to be a good content creator, you have to remain objective. Now, if you're not a content creator that's specific to one organization, one franchise, like it's some Atlanta Falcons content creators. They only do Atlanta Falcons stuff, Chicago Bulls stuff, whatever. But me, I touch on everything, basketball and football related. I touch on everything, every team, every organization, every player, whatever. I have to remain objective according to what I see. And I know the X's and O's of each game very well. And just me watching Ezekiel Elliott run the ball, even in college, you could see the finesse and combination of power, speed, and quickness, his catching ability between the tackles, outside, zone, inside, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like there's no running back in the league until proven otherwise. Ezekiel, like I like to say, numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Ezekiel Elliott, 2 rushing titles out of 4 years. That's impressive. You know what I'm saying? It would have been 3 had he not had, you know, the suspension and whatnot. He still led the league in yards per game that year. That would have been 3 out of 4 years. Like, somebody having one great year or good year does not automatically, you know, jumpstart you ahead of everybody else. It doesn't do that. I need to see consistency, because that's the number one thing, in my opinion, when it comes to any sport. Consistency. Who's the most consistent? And it's been Ezekiel Elliott. People like to say it's because of his offensive line. But if you look at the Cowboys' win percentage when Zeke was suspended compared to when he was in the game, it's not even close. It's like a 35-40% decrease in winning percentage without Zeke on the field. You know, so it's like, you can't say, oh, anybody can just step in and do what he does because they have a great offensive line. No, it's not like that. Everybody can't run with the same ferociousness as Ezekiel Elliott. Just look at him his rookie year. The burst, the speed as a rookie, a young, talented player. I don't think I'm not saying it's far. I'm not saying if Christian McCaffrey has another 100,000 season, he can't be better than Zeke. But right now, until proven otherwise, I got Ezekiel Elliott.
So, if y'all saw my list, it's Derrick Henry #1, CMC #2, Saquon #3. Zeke is like the 4th and 5th for me. I mean, Derrick, thing is, people think that I'm saying Christian McCaffrey is not #1. I think all 3 of those guys can be #1 at some point. But like right now, I think Derrick Henry is. So, I mean, Zeke.
Can I respond to that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I don't know if you saw the video, but me and Fenelak got into it about Derrick Henry being
I saw
#1.
that, yep.
Derrick Henry, like I said in the video, Derrick Henry can be neutralized. You cannot have a running back that cannot consistently – listen, the reason why I say CMC, you can have a legit argument for CMC being the best is CMC does not come off the field. It doesn't matter the situation. He's not going to let another running back sniff any part of his field. You think you got a shot? No, I don't get tired. I'm on the field for every snap, every play, every down, 4th down, 3rd down, 1st. It doesn't matter. He's on the field. Now, Zeke does sub out, but he's an every down back as well, and so is Saquon Barkley. Doesn't come off the field unless he needs a spell. So it's like Derrick Henry, if the Titans go down in the game to where the running game is non-existent now, you have to you're forced to pass the ball, Derrick Henry will not be on the field for that occasion. You cannot put somebody ahead of somebody else that is just a pure runner and is not an all-around back like Ezekiel Elliott, like Saquon Barkley, like what's the other guy, CMC. So I don't think he's comparable to them. I think he's top 5 just off of his sheer strength and what he did for Tennessee last year. But as far as being compared with those 3 guys, I think they're in a league of their own right now.
Okay. So, I mean, I will accept the fact that all 3 of those guys are way more versatile than Derrick Henry, of course. But Derrick Henry is probably the more unstoppable back. And a lot of the times he's getting those chunk plays. Like, he gets them almost every single time.
True. That's true.
And, like, Zeke, if you watch the first year, and I know that the Giants, like, we beat them twice. So, really, we didn't. You know, we saw how to stop it. Y'all actually lost to them once.
We did.
Yeah. So,
we beat them when it mattered, though.
Yeah, I mean, week 17, though.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll not get into that, but a lot of all that offense was is just running the ball, like, and just milk the clock the whole first half. And then the other offense, they get it back with maybe not even the first quarter, they get it in the second quarter sometimes. And
And who are you talking about?
The Cowboys. The Cowboys offense is just milking the clock and just handing it to Zeke, just giving it to him. So he's getting like 20 carries, like 20, 30 carries a game.
True. I think, I mean, the reason why I asked you who are you talking about is because I was confused. I would feel that situation and that offense would be more predicated towards Tennessee because that's exactly what they do. They try to dominate the time of possession and keep the defense on the field and the offense off the field. They're trying to beat you through holding the ball for 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why once the formula to beat Tennessee is to get up on them, force them to pass the ball, force Ryan Tannehill to beat you. That's why they lost. That's how they lost in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 41 times.
Yeah.
That's why they lost.
Yeah. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, though, like, he's, as I'm saying, like, as you said, he's the same exact runner as Derrick Henry, but, I mean, not the same exact, but, like.
He's more versatile.
He's more versatile, but, like, he can also be stopped. I mean, if you ever play a team with a good front seven, or Zeke isn't getting many yards.
But see, here's the difference between Tennessee and the Cowboys. Yes, Tennessee have some great pass catchers, some young guys, but the Cowboys have a better quarterback in Dak Prescott, who had almost 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns last year. So even if you are forced to pass the ball, we've seen Dak Prescott win games before. I haven't seen Ryan Tannehill winning. Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 9 times through 2 games in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like I haven't seen Ryan Tannehill go win a game before.
And that's not Derrick Henry's fault, though.
But that's his situation. That's the situation he's in. So when you're in that situation, the team is forced to build the offense around you, which is fine. But on top of that, when you're forced to pass, Derrick Henry, which is supposed to be the best player on the team, is not on the field.
I mean, okay.
he has a deficiency. He has a flaw, which is his inability to run routes and catch the ball. Mm-hmm. You can't, if you have a running back that can run just as good as him, if not better on some occasions, but can pass the ball can catch the ball way better than he can, how can you put him above that guy?
Derrick Henry's he's not like a lot of these players. He can get those yards and another thing is Amari Cooper and Dak, a lot of that offense is just play action, RPO, whatever. And a lot of that is more of the quarterback and receiver. Tight ends don't have that luxury because Ryan Tannehill is working with a rookie A.J. Brown. And who else is there? Like, they had Corey Davis or something like that, who was a bust.
He's not a bust. Corey Davis is solid. Davis is solid.
For the fact that he was a top 10 pick.
I mean, yeah, I get that. He didn't jump off the map immediately, but I think Corey Davis will have a breakout year this year. Him and A.J. Brown will be better. They got Derrick Henry what he needed and what he wanted, so I think he'll be focused. I think the Titans will be okay this year, but to call I think it's a little bit premature. What is he? This is third year coming up? I don't know. Let's give him a shot. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is his quarterback. Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver at Texas A&M. So, we got to, give him a chance.
Yeah, okay. I get that. But, to be honest, as of, for a top 10 pick right now, he hasn't produced that much.
True. That's true.
Compared to Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, A.J. Brown and Corey Davis are nothing compared to that offense. So that offense can't run RPO, play action like the Cowboys do because a lot of the RPO and play action is based off the receiver and QB. It's more of the QB, selling it and then the receiver doing whatever he needs to,
Well, it's also who you got in the backfield. So it really doesn't matter what type of RPO play you run or what type of wide receivers you got. That's going to leave these guys more inclined to single cover these guys on the outside. If you got a running back like Zeke and they want to put 8, 9 in the box, you want to put 7, 8 in the box, they're going to pass the ball. You can't say that about Ryan Tannehill. Dak is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. And it's not like Zeke is coming off the field when they're in passing situations. He's not. He's on the field. So it's like I don't understand. Yes, Derrick Henry's a great runner, and he does have those, 99-yard runs like he did against the Jags. And he does have those splash plays. But when you look at a running back and you say, okay, Do I want a guy that has to come off the field on third down? Or do I want a guy that's going to play every single down for me? Is there a better run blocker than a pass blocker than Ezekiel Elliott in the league? I don't think so. Is there a better in between the tackles runner than Ezekiel Elliott in the league? You could argue Derrick Henry, but most of his plays come from the outside when he's bursting them, except for one, the 99-yard one was an outside zone. So it's like between the tackles is Zeke. You know, yes, he has a great offensive line, but he's showing you that give me a great offensive line, this is what I can do with it. 2 rushing titles out of 4 years. So, I mean, consistency from rookie year to now. Last year, they said he had a down year, over 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. Fourth in the league in rushing in a down season. Think about that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, though, it's like that. I mean, I'm going to say this like one time, but like that O-line is also pretty good, though. I know it's hard to say, but I mean, Zach Martin, they didn't have Travis Frederick. They are lacking at center.
The offensive line, in all fairness, was pretty banged up last year too, though.
Yeah, last year, I mean, Zach Martin
Smith was banged up.
A lot of the in between the tackles is Zach Martin.
Travis Frederick had the injury.
Yeah.
I mean,
he retired, I think, actually.
Yeah. No, he played last year though. He had the injury, then he played, and then he had that injury, and then he sat out. So it's like that's an all-pro. He's an all-pro offensive lineman. Tyron Smith is all-pro. Zach Martin is all-pro. All them guys was banged up last year. So it's like Zeke still had over 1,300 yards to a touchdown. 4th in the league in rushing.
Well, okay, so let's just say Pittsburgh is probably one of the best run-stopping teams. Zeke has struggled running against those type of teams like the Ravens, the Steelers, those teams that actually have good D-lines. And we saw that with the Giants in year 1. He couldn't run against the Giants because Giants had a phenomenal defense that year. They had Damon Harrison. They had Olivier Vernon, all those new guys who come in. And he wasn't able to do anything. So a defense can neutralize Zeke as well.
I mean, every back can be slowed down. I mean, you're not going to be successful every single time you touch the football. But at that point in time, when your running back is struggling, it's up to, the other guys to step up. And it becomes more about what can we get out of this guy? Okay, he might not have 200 yards, 150 yards on the ground today. He might only get 86 yards on the ground. But what can we get out of him? Can we get a play action out of him? Can we get an obvious running formation on first down to get everybody at the line of scrimmage, PA, and go over the top? Can we make plays based off of Ezekiel Elliott's presence? And that's what it becomes about. Smart head coaches will figure that out when a running back is struggling and go to that. So, I mean, most of Tannehill's yards came from the belly of Derrick Henry. Whether he's pulling it or putting it in his belly. Most of his yards came that way. So,
again, another thing is Derrick Henry, he can play a whole game and that defense will not want to play him anymore because
that's the thing about Derrick Henry that I do like. If the Titans are playing with a lead, that is very specific that I say that. If the Titans are playing with a league, Derrick Henry becomes tough because now he's wearing you out and he's pounding you in the fourth quarter. And especially when it hits November, December, January, and it's cold outside and you don't want to make those tackles and you got this big back pounding you. So, I mean, that's when he's at his best. When you see Derrick Henry running out that clock because they got a lead, that's when he's at his best. But when it's 21-3 at half, Derrick Henry will be sitting right next to the guy holding the clipboard. And that is a problem. That's a problem.
True. That's true. But, a lot of times, Derrick Henry is not putting the Titans in that position. There's not many games that it was a two.
But that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, though. Why can't he be on the field, whether they're in that position or not? He should be on the field if he's that guy.
He's putting them in the winning position, though. He's the only reason that they're winning so many games.
But if they're down 21-3, why is he on the bench?
Yeah, that's a good point. But he's also the reason that they're not down 21 half the games.
But when they didn't go 16-0.
Yeah, that's true. But at the start of the season,
they lost in the playoffs. He did have 18, 19 carries, but Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 41 times, 41 times, something like that.
Okay.
That's not the way the Titans win. So, it's just I can't put him with those guys, those three guys.
Okay. So let's say Derrick Henry out of this. Why do you have them above CMC and Saquon Barkley?
You said, why do I have
Zeke over
above
Saquon, CMC and Saquon Barkley.
consistency? Everything I just talked about. Saquon wasn't Saquon last year. He had a solid year, but he wasn't himself. I don't know if he was battling some type of injury, but he didn't have that same burst and that same, he wasn't that same
He still
Saquon
had
he was in
1,000
his
yards,
rookie
though.
campaign. Right, that's why I say he did, but Saquon is supposed to be 1,100 yards with ease. No question. Every single season, he should be giving me that. I don't care what his situation is. He's that talented. So, and that's why I say, maybe it is the situation. Maybe you could say, oh, well, if you interchange this guy and speak with hypotheticals, if we could speak with hypotheticals all we want, but the fact remains, Zeke does have one of the better offensive lines in football, and he is producing behind that offensive line. So that makes him the best. Well, if you put this guy in that situation, he might do this or may do that. That's all irrelevant. Let's go with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Ezekiel Elliott has a top 10, top 5 offensive line in the league. And he's running behind that line, and he looks like a stud while doing it. And the Cowboys win because of him.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
we could see.
Another thing is with the Giants, I mean, they're still, again, like with Cowboys, same thing with Derrick Henry. There's not a receiver there. Like Golden Tate's like aging. Sterling Shepard's a slot. We have too many slots. Darius Slayton was really the only one that we had.
And that's another, what you just said right there is why I have CMC over Saquon right now. What you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? CMC is in that same situation, but he's catching 100 passes because of that situation. If you give those guys in Carolina what the Cowboys got at wide, give them CeeDee Lamb, give them Amari Cooper, give them Michael Gallup. You think CMC gonna still catch 100 balls?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they have.
No,
nah.
he won't. He won't.
I mean,
it's too many mouths to feed.
They have what's his name, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, who are those guys?
Those guys are good. DJ Moore is good.
DJ Moore is solid. Curtis Samuel's
Curtis Samuel's a serviceable back.
Okay, serviceable, but what compared to what the Cowboys got? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And in that lineup, Zeke still caught like 77 balls his second year in the league or third year in the league. Still caught like 77.
I mean, he's not a better pass catcher than CMC. CMC is a way better pass catcher, and he can do more with the ball.
CMC is a better pass catcher than Zeke, but he's also in a better situation to do that. That's why I said if you give him the Cowboys wide receivers, do you think CMC would still have 100 catches? Hell no. Think about all the guys that have done that, 100 catches. Not many. I think LT did it. Matt Forte did it. I think Devin Hester was the number 1 wide receiver when Matt Forte did it. Devin Hester.
I mean, Devin Hester was he was a kick returner.
Exactly. But he was the number 1 wide receiver for the Bears that year. And Matt Forte had 100 catches. Why?
Yeah.
Because that's all Jay Cutler had to throw to. I think they had Johnny Knox or something like that. That's what I'm saying. So if you're put in a situation where you can catch the ball and you have nobody else that can catch the ball on your team, so the team has to run the entire offense through you like they did CMC last year, you should put up produce numbers like he did.
I mean, CMC is also like his dad was a receiver and is like he's like the way he trained as a receiver.
Denver Broncos.
He trained like
and
a
that's
receiver.
why I say right, and that's why I say, and that is why, because he's put in a situation where the offense would allow him to get 100 catches. And so is Saquon. But is Saquon getting 100 catches? No, he should be. With a rookie, especially with a rookie quarterback in Danny Dimes, who's looking for a security blanket, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, short intermediate passing. He's looking for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for you not to have 100 catches, it's great to be as great as he is, for him not to even have like 60 catches, especially in a terrible offense like that with no other pass catchers. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
you put CMC in that offense, he's going to light it up. That's why he's number 2 and Saquon is 3.
I mean, CMC, okay, yeah, he'll catch it, right? And he's the best pass catcher as a running back right now, right?
True.
Saquon Barkley, he can do the more in like with the ball in his hands. Like he can get away from tackles way easier than Zeke. Zeke, he was a hurdler in high school, and I think he has the best hurdles, but he can't really fake out players like that.
Zeke is a one-cut back. He's a big, heavy. Saquon is stocky too, but he doesn't weigh as much as Zeke does, and he doesn't have the same run style. Saquon is trying to make you miss. Zeke is trying to run through you. You know what I'm saying? Like Derrick
Mm-hmm.
Henry. But the difference between Derrick Henry and Zeke is Zeke does have some elusiveness to him. Henry doesn't have any elusiveness. He's just trying to Brandon Jacobs you.
Yeah.
So it's not like, Ezekiel Elliott. That's why I said when I first spoke on him in this podcast, I said Ezekiel Elliott is a great combination of speed, size, and quickness. Great combination because he can run through you, he can go around you, and he can juke you.
He's a great combination, but like he's not the best at any of those categories. There's not one category he's the best at.
I think between the tackles.
I mean,
I think he's the best between the tackles. Give it to him 30 times between the tackles. I think he's the best between the tackles.
that's probably Derrick Henry though.
Because
Derrick Henry, whenever the game plan for Derrick Henry is usually stack the box, 8-9 people in the box, right? And he's still once he gets past that front seven, he's gone. You can't.
Yeah, but how do you if they're stacking a box? How's Derrick Henry going to get past the front seven? He has to run an outside zone, left or right, or right.
Then so let's take that away. And then
what I want to know. I want to see a highlight where Derrick Henry runs it 60 yards to the house, right up the gut, right up the A gap.
Okay.
Show me it.
I mean, Zeke doesn't have any. I mean, like he does, but like he can get stopped in that whenever he does that a lot of the time. He has a one play, like one chunk play. Derrick Henry is 5-7 yards to carry and then maybe 4 yards or whatever, like 3 yards. Zeke is like 3, and then maybe a 30-yarder, something like that.
I get you. I mean, the numbers don't give him justice, but I mean, 70 something, almost 80 catches for a running back. That is spectacular. Over 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. There's nothing Zeke can't do. There's nothing. Oh, well, Zeke can't do this, so let's take – no. He can run routes. He can catch the ball. He can run between the tackles. He can run in the outside. He can juke you. He can run through you. He can block. He's the best pass blocker for a running back in the NFL. He's the best at it. There's nobody that can block in the backfield better than Ezekiel Elliott. Pull up the tape and watch it. So that's what I'm saying. There's nothing Zeke can't do. He does not come off the field because he can't do a certain thing. Well, we need to work at this with Zeke. What does Zeke need to improve on? He's got great vision, great footwork, great hands, great route running, great blocking. What does he need to improve on? What does he need to improve on? He's great size.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but he's still like, here's the thing, like, if he was like great at one thing and then also
run blocking, pass blocking.
Okay.
I keep saying run blocking, pass blocking. He's the best pass blocking running back in the league. He's the best running back in the league. He's the most complete back, man. We could go all day with this.
Saquon's also a good run blocker. If you think like he also came out of Penn State.
Saquon can block. Yeah, Saquon can block, but not like Zeke.
He's also very much complete. Saquon's also an in between the line.
He is, but he's an outside. He's a guy that likes to get to the outside as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever seen Saquon make a catch like Ezekiel Elliott did? I think it was week 14 or 15 last year, up the sideline. Remarkable catch, remarkable throw by Dak Prescott. I can't remember. I can't put my finger on the exact game, but it's Saquon can catch the ball. CMC can catch the football. Zeke can catch the football.
He had one play against the Eagles, actually. It was just I don't know if you – I've seen it on, like, a whole bunch of highlight tapes. It was, like, where he caught it off a screen and just, like, jukes out a whole bunch of people. He doesn't score on it, but I
think I know what play you're talking about. But I'm not talking about screen. I'm talking about down the field. Running a route, doing what David Johnson used to do in Arizona. Literally lining up and running a route, getting open, catching the ball and running with it like a wide receiver. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's apples and oranges. All of these guys are great. This is just who I believe is the best right now currently. It could change next year. Zeke comes out here and lays an egg. CMC has another 100,000 year. And it's like, damn, now what? And it's even better and more impressive than it was last year. My opinion can change. The only way you're entitled to change your opinion is if you're provided with new information. So,
okay. So let's move on to the next topic, and that's the GOAT. This is something I usually ask to a lot of people. Who do you think is the best football player of all time?
Football player, Jerry Rice. Quarterback, Tom Brady.
Okay. In my opinion, Tom Brady gets a little bit more credit than he deserves. Do you agree with that?
No. I believe Tom Brady gets the amount of credit that he deserves. I believe he should get more. You know
Really?
why? Yeah. Because there's no other quarterback that's done what he's done. No other quarterback. You can't say, oh, he's just got the rings. He's got the stats too. There's nothing that you can look at Tom Brady's career and say, man, well, he didn't have this. Like people say, well, Joe Montana only has 40,000 passing yards. He doesn't have 70,000 like Drew Brees, so you can't put him in a conversation. That's something that people can say, even though I can argue that and say, well, that was a time where passing wasn't like it is today.
Mm-hmm.
I can argue that, but the fact remains that is an accurate assessment. You can't say that about Tom Brady. He's got everything: the finals MVPs, the Super Bowl MVPs, the Super Bowls, the stats, the accolades, the MVPs, everything. There's nothing he does not have.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of his Super Bowl rings was like just based off Super Bowls, because that's what apparently puts him above a lot of the other people, like Drew Brees.
That's the nail in the coffin.
I mean,
the Super Bowls are the nail in the coffin. And before you get into what you're about to say, because I know where you're going with it, remember, football is the most team-oriented sport that we have, because everything is predicated off of the next guy, the guy to the left or to the right of you. The center can't block well if the left guard and right guard aren't doing their jobs. The quarterback can't complete a pass without the wide receiver catching it. So the running back can't do anything if the offensive line isn't blocking. So remember that before you get into what you're about to say. Go ahead.
I'll just say that Drew Brees also has more yards with a team that's not even that great. Who was his best receiver before Michael Thomas? Like
Who's
Marcus
Tom
Colston.
Brady? Who's Tom Brady's best receiver?
He had Deion Branch, Randy Moss, which he was still
Deion Branch. Who's Deion Branch?
Deion Branch, Super Bowl MVP.
Was he? What did he do when he left and went to, I don't know, Cleveland, wherever he went to after he left the Patriots? Did he have another year? Like he had the year he won the Super Bowl MVP? He didn't. I'll answer it for you. He didn't. He stunk. So
okay.
Keep going with his wide receivers.
Okay. Randy Moss?
1 year and a half. And what was Randy Moss before he got to New England?
He was in Oakland.
Right. He was in Oakland doing what? Laying eggs.
With no one there. That was a team that was trying to rebuild.
Right.
It was in the process of rebuilding.
But then you gave him the GOAT, and Tom Brady make him look like the best wide receiver to ever walk the planet.
He was already looking like that in Minnesota, though.
No, he wasn't. Oh, in Minnesota, yes. He was spectacular. But he wasn't looking like the best thing to ever walk the earth. Yeah, he had the little 16 touchdown thing his rookie year. Randy Moss is great, don't get me wrong. He's one-dimensional, but he's great. But when he got with 12, I never seen Randy look like that. And you know what's crazy? People say, oh, this and that with Minnesota, this and that with Oakland. Before the Patriots, when people found out the Patriots picked him up, everybody said, I don't know why they did that. Randy Moss is done. I never forget it because I was one of them. Randy Moss is done. He's over with. He looked terrible in Oakland. Soon as he got with the GOAT, he looked like the greatest wide receiver to ever play the game. He was unguardable, unstoppable. Point-blank period.
I'm not saying Tom Brady's not a good quarterback. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks. I just don't think he's the greatest.
Who do you have above him?
I have Drew Brees as mine.
Number one?
Above, yeah, above him. Because Drew Brees
number one? I want to know who's number one.
Oh, Drew Brees for me.
Drew Brees is number one.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's done it he's had more passing yards. He's been able to actually bring a team to a Super Bowl that shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl.
Why?
There's no defense. There was no offense there.
That New Orleans Saints is the only top 10 defense that Drew Brees has had in his entire career.
Yeah.
You forgot that they got suspended for Bountygate. They were headhunters. That defense was amazing.
Yeah.
Hargrove, Malcolm Jenkins, those guys was
but like how many mistakes?
Jonathan Vilma.
They made way too many mistakes though. Like there was he's always being screwed over by the defense. Whether it's Bountygate.
Not that year, as you can see.
Well, yeah, whenever they actually played like an actual defense, then there's something. But a lot of that team is off Drew Brees. That offense was also really good that game. in that
I
season.
love me some Drew Brees, and I think Drew Brees is like third or fourth all time. But to sit here and say that he's better than Tom Brady, I can't see that.
Okay,
I can't see.
let's hit, like, again, hypothetically, let's just put Drew Brees with Tom Brady's team.
Why
He's
would
going
we
off.
do that? Tom Brady. Listen, when you speaking of Tom Brady's team, you're definitely not speaking of his offense because the offense has been lack thereof. You're speaking of his defense. Bill Belichick, that's where his hat comes in at. Bill Belichick's ability to consistently put a great defense in a Patriots uniform and be Tom Brady has, what is this, 20 years in the league? 14 out of his 20 years, he's had a top 10 defense. 14.
Mhm.
14 out of the 20 years he's had a top 10
That's
defense.
also
That's
a big reason he's gone to the Super Bowl.
There we go. That's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
But to say that Tom Brady with God knows who is his wide receivers. I mean, Julian Edelman is underrated. He's a great route runner, but
I mean,
is Julian Edelman going to the Hall of Fame?
Gronk?
Gronkowski, he was tied to him for 9 years. That's a tight end. What wide receivers are we really? You mentioned Deion Branch. That was the first name you pulled out of your pocket?
Hey, he did, though.
Every quarterback has had, normally, every quarterback, great quarterback in the history of the game has had two things tied to them: a great coach and a great wide receiver. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Tony Dungy. They're linked. Bill Walsh, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. It's always, you can keep going. It's always that wide receiver to quarterback duo all time that are connected and are linked. Who are we linking Tom Brady to? A tight end? Why is he the only one that has to be linked to a tight end? Everybody else gets an outside X receiver. But Tom Brady, you have to say, injured Gronkowski, inconsistent, never played 16 games in the past 4 years, Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, a lot. Like, Gronk was also one of those players that could have he was lined up outside a lot of times.
On the goal line, not if they're coming first and 10 on the 20-yard line, Gronkowski's on the inside.
He was a versatile player. He was a versatile player, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we got, though, for Tom Brady. A tight end for 9 years. Brady played 20 seasons, but we got a tight end for 9 years.
I mean,
Peyton Manning had the luxury of Marvin Harrison, and right after Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. Both of those guys are Hall of Fame.
That is true, but, like, I mean, okay, but here's the thing. Let's get into why the Super Bowls, right? Because the Super Bowl games is also not decided by Tom Brady. It was Carolina. He had a kick that went out of bounds, and he only had to go 20 yards to set up Adam Vinatieri, one of the greatest kickers of all time.
The greatest. What are you going to say, more than Anderson? Who's a better kicker than Adam Vinatieri? He's got 4 championships, 4 Super Bowls, all on his leg.
I mean,
all on his, literally 4 Super Bowls, all on his leg.
I don't know. I mean, who was that? The Saints kicker? Forgot his name already. Yeah, I forgot his name already. But
if you're not talking about Sebastian, Morton Anderson is Kansas
really
City.
Good.
Saints. Oh, who are you talking about? Saints.
It was like the guy. I think he only had one. He had like a leg that didn't have toes or something like that. Something like that. Something crazy. But I know he has like the most kicks.
Adam Vinatieri is the best kicker of all time.
I don't know.
If you're not talking about Morton Anderson, he's the best. He passed. I think he beat Morton Anderson's record for most points scored in NFL history.
Did he?
Yes, Adam Vinatieri.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna get into that because like that's apples and oranges. Kickers
ain't important.
Yeah. So a lot of that was the first game. He had to go 20 yards to just get him in position to set up for a field goal. Same with Rams. He had to go a little bit further, but all he had to do was just pass the 40-yard line. And 40, even at the 40, he's already in field goal range for Adam Vinatieri.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles games, Deion Branch went off. There's a reason he won Super Bowl MVP. And then what was all the games that got? Then Giants game, he couldn't stop them because the greatest, one of the greatest.
They lost.
Yeah, he couldn't win that because of defense. Whenever you play, the Giants defense like stopped him, and whenever he tries to play a team that is like a great defense like that, he can't do much. Tom Brady is not going to be able to do much. And Drew Brees, he's able to get a team that isn't even supposed to be matched up with one of those teams and still somehow come out on top.
Well, there's been a lot of times where Drew Brees has stunk up the joint too in the playoffs and his team gets sent home. And we get that the defense needs to be an accomplice to that, like Aaron Rodgers' situation. They need to capitalize on certain situations. Peyton Manning as well too. Peyton Manning, his first championship came on the back of the defense. It had to be had. The defense was the 32nd ranked rushing defense in the league the year he won his first title. Bob Sanders came back, and I think they had to see LT in the playoffs. They had to see Larry Johnson in the playoffs that year. Some great running backs, and they shut all of them down en route to the playoffs. If those guys run wild on them, who's to say Peyton Manning doesn't get his first ring? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, defense is the most important. When they say defense wins championships, that's a fact. I mean, unless you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. But even then, the defense stepped up in the playoffs for them. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's when they say that, even though it may not be the flashiest, may not be the prettiest or the nicest looking, defense wins championships, man. You don't have to have a number 1 ranked defense, number 2 ranked defense. You could see when you do have a defense like that and a formidable offense, you get stuff like what happened with LOB, completely shutting down Peyton Manning the year he threw for 55.
Okay. I mean, okay.
That offense is probably the beginning of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the Legion of Boom held them to 9 points in the biggest game of the season.
That Super Bowl was just it was a bad one from the Denver Broncos, but again, that we'll probably never see a secondary like that again in a long time. Like that secondary was great. Yeah, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman in his prime. Who else was there? Brian Maxwell, Bobby Wagner. Yeah. And all of those players didn't even win the Super Bowl MVP. It was Malcolm Smith.
Yeah, that was crazy. He had a game though, man.
Yeah.
He had a game.
Yeah. So that defense was like one of the best of all time. So yeah. I mean, like and then Drew Brees, his defense was good, but like a lot of the time they're losing the game for him. It's the fact that, like, you know, Jonathan Vilma, he's out because of bounty gate. There's also the what was it? The Beastquake. Beastquake was a big one. I know that Marshawn Lynch is like a great running back, but there was so many missed tackles on that play. And
they weren't they like 7-9 that year, and made the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, were they supposed to be there?
I mean, yeah, no, they weren't supposed to be there, but Drew Brees got them there too. Like he put them in the position. He put them in the position to even be there.
I love me some Drew Brees, I do, and I think he's one of the all-time greats. But right now we're speaking hypotheticals, and I mentioned that football is the most team-oriented sport. That's why I mentioned that before you went into this, because I knew this is what you were going to get to. Football is very team-oriented. You can't do your job unless the guy next to you does his in a lot of cases. So we get that Drew Brees hasn't had the luxury of a Tom Brady to have so many great defensive teams, which allowed you to get yourself into position to be in so many. But how many late game drives? Game on the line. You mentioned he only had to go 20 yards. Only 20 yards in the NFL. That's a lot, man.
That's a lot, but like, I mean.
On the biggest stage, Tom Brady puts you in that position every single game. If I have one drive from my life, I'm picking Tom Brady. One single drive, fourth quarter, 1 minute and 20 seconds left, 25-yard line, 1st and 10. What quarterback you taking?
I would take John Elway in that situation. I would take John Elway.
He's done it once on a bigger stage, but I can't argue with that. But I'm going with Drew. I'm going with Tom Brady.
He also had to go 95 yards on one drive too.
Yeah, 97, I think actually.
Yeah, something crazy like that. It was like 95, 97, and that's way easier than 20. You're taking 20 over 97 any day of the week. So
I get you. Look at the historic game he played against us in 2017.
Yeah.
505. Would have easily won. Would have easily won the Finals MVP. 505 game. He had an immaculate game. But this is what I mean when I say the defense doesn't step up. This is what happens. The defense didn't step up and get a stop versus versus my Eagles. But every time we scored, Brady scored. That game had me on my ass the whole time. Every time we scored, here comes Brady. We scored, Brady. I said, oh my God, can we get one stop? And we
Oh wait, you're
finally.
talking about okay. You're
I'm
talking
talking
about the
about
Nick Foles game.
2017
Okay.
Super Bowl. Oh, yeah. Every time we scored, they scored. And it had me on the edge of my seat, clenching my butt cheeks the whole time.
Okay.
So it's like Tom Brady's the GOAT, man. I don't think he gets enough credit. No quarterback has 6 championships. None. Nobody even has 5. So I mean, he took the lead, and he's about to break the all-time passing, all-time touchdowns. The only thing he won't have is completion percentage that belongs to Drew Brees, which is why I believe he's in that conversation. The only guy in between Tom Brady and Drew Brees is Joe Montana to me. Joe Montana going 4-0 is impressive. People say it's because he had Jerry Rice, but 2 of them he won without Jerry. So I mean, it's impressive.
What about Peyton Manning?
Peyton he's impressive as well. I got him in the top 5 somewhere for. I think my top 5 all time was Brady at 1. I think I had who was 2? I had Joe Cool at 2. I think I had Breeze at 3, Manning at 4, and I had John Elway at 5. No, Dan Marino at 5.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I mean, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you made a TikTok. Yeah, you had Dan Marino on
Yeah,
that list. So,
yeah, I
yeah,
had Dan Marino at 5.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so that's a pretty good list. I mean, I would maybe put Joe or Peyton Manning above Joe Montana just because like that 49ers team was also great with Steve Young after that. So that kind of it doesn't take away too much from Joe Montana, but it also shows that like that team didn't need Joe Montana.
I think that's false. I think that is very false. To underappreciate a Super Bowl team that went 4-0, and that team did win without Joe Montana, but he did have Jerry Rice, and they did have,
That team got better without Joe Montana.
I agree. I think Steve Young, and that's what I'm saying. The team got better. It wasn't at its best when Joe Montana was at quarterback. I think the team got better. And if you look at the numbers I did top 5 duos, 2 quarterback wide receiver duos, and I had Steve Young and Jerry Rice above Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. That's just to show you something. That's to show you something. Who really benefited off of Jerry Rice's presence? That's why you should give Joe Montana more credit than he's deserved, because a lot of people like to synonymize them two, Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. But really, Steve Young was the guy that had more success with Jerry Rice than Joe Montana. Montana was just out here winning titles. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Young was also a more versatile player. He was kind of he was kind of the first like actual great running quarterbacks, like, dual threat quarterbacks.
That's not true. Fran Tarkenton was probably the first guy.
I mean, he wasn't the first. He was just one of the first.
He was the guy that made it what it is. Really, the Fran Tarkenton used to he was what Russell Wilson is today.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson can scramble around the pocket to still be, having his eyes downfield. He wasn't Michael Vick, go through your first read and he's not open, I'm gone. That was Mike Vick. Mm-hmm. Fran Tarkenton used to run around to try to still look downfield for a pass like Russell Wilson does. You see Russell Wilson being evasive, evading the play and getting outside. He's not looking to run. He's looking to pass still. He's just buying time. Ben Roethlisberger is another one that's real good at that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Fran Tarkenton was just kind of like, I mean, he was good, but like that, and he actually revolutionized it because it was not a thing before Fran Tarkenton. Like,
exactly. That's what I mean when I said that.
The thing. He was the first, yeah. So he was the first player to actually like embrace that that running. It was just try and stay in the pocket and throw it as far and whatever you can. So yeah, Fran Tarkenton was there, but Steve Young. Steve Young was like, he was the first to actually get out, like, past the line of scrimmage and actually run with it, take off with it. So, yeah, I mean, Fran Tarkenton was also really great. I mean, didn't he play with the Purple Rain defense? Mm-hmm. So, that defense was also very scary. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah. But Tom Brady, right? So, his And a lot of it is Bill Belichick's masterminding. So a lot of the things are Bill Belichick, his smarts, with I mean, he made that team made Matt Castle look like a great quarterback.
They missed the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, I mean Matt Castle's not going to take the team to playoffs, but I
So
mean it made him.
why are we bringing him up?
But he
Tom
still
Brady
looked
don't
like
miss the playoffs.
But Matt
He
Castle
looked like a great loser.
I mean, yeah, yeah,
They
but
missed the
like,
playoffs. I mean, he did. He looked like a great loser.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Tom Brady don't miss the playoffs.
There's also Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett who also
What about him?
That team also made them look very good, and they both are very good quarterbacks. I personally think
Jacoby Brissett is trash, and
Jacoby
people
Brissett's
are
not that bad.
Jacoby Brissett. I like the best thing about Jacoby Brissett is his ball. He's got one of the prettiest balls in the NFL, and he's got a rocket for an arm. But as far as his decision making and his ability to go through his reads correctly, he's got a lot to learn still. So it's not like Bill Belichick is just handing out gems here. Hey, you get a Hall of Famer. You get it. No. People have a lot of questions about Jimmy Garoppolo. They say he choked in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, but like
They say if
both
they
those
would have had
quarterbacks
somebody
look
better than
great.
Jimmy Garoppolo during the playoffs, they would have been more successful. I mean, he's still got a lot to learn. It's not like, he's giving away Tom Brady's. He's not.
I mean, Bill Belichick actually wanted to trade Tom Brady instead of Jimmy G.
I know, because Tom Brady's 40. I mean, I if I'm Bill Belichick, I would want to do that too, because especially when you know what you got in your backup, you feel like you got a guy that you've been probing, you've been developing, and he could step in and play that significant role as the quarterback for your team. So I get that. He knows what he's got in Jimmy G. Mm-hmm. That's why he gave him to Kyle Shanahan, who's Bill Belichick is very close with Mike Shanahan, who happens to be his father. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence that he got a second-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo from San Francisco when Cleveland offered him a first-round pick. But he said no to that and gave him to Mike Shanahan's son, who's the first-year coach. Yeah. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Mike Shanahan is also one of the better offensive coaches.
So was his son. Mm-hmm. Kyle Shanahan is great. Look what he did with Atlanta. He was the offensive coordinator the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Right now, I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive minds.
There you go, yeah. Not head coaches, because he's not that. But offensive minds, yes. Him, Matt Nagy, Andy Reid, all of those guys, I think, are the best offensive minds in the league. Even the Patriots. Who they got over there? Josh McDaniels. Mm-hmm. He's a great offensive mind, too. Watch what he does with Cam Newton this year. You watch what he does with Cam Newton. Watch.
I mean, here's another thing. I mean, they also have Matt Patricia over there. A lot of the coaches that leave New England don't have the same success. I'm hoping Joe Judge isn't.
Matt Patricia's a defensive-minded coach, though. Matt Patricia was
and he should have learned more from Bill Belichick in that case, because Bill Belichick's a great defensive coach, because we saw what he did in New York twice. He won the Super Bowl. And then
his game plan is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I mean, he went to Cleveland, and the year he left, the next year they won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Of course, that team relocated and stuff. Then spent a day with the Jets, and then went to the Patriots. But Matt Patricia should have actually learned more from Bill Belichick, and he failed with the Lions. I'm hoping that's an exception for Joe Judge, but
we'll see what happens. It's gonna be interesting. But I gotta get.
There's a lot. So a lot of that is that game plan is also not destined for greatness, but it's a great game plan.
What game plan?
The Patriots' game plan, their strategy.
As far as to
defense and offensively, he's one of the best minds in football as ever seen.
Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
Offensively, I don't know. Defensively, yeah, the combination. But yeah, I believe he is the best defensive
to make
mind.
up for that, he brings in the best minds for
that. That's true. Now that's true. Charlie Weiss, he's had. They've only had 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, they've only had 3 or 4 of them. But.
Yeah, but for his defensive mind or defensive presence, he brings in a really good offensive presence who can, run that team pretty too, not perfection, but pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's a great coach, and I think without Bill Belichick, Tom Brady would not be having as much success as he would have.
I mean, you can, like I say, I mentioned it earlier. Throughout the history of the game, there's quarterbacks that are tied to great head coaches. You
Mm-hmm.
know, same thing with the NBA. Every great player is tied to a great coach. So I mean, it's Manning and Dungy, Walsh and Young. I mean, Walsh and Montana. You can go on and on and on. So I mean, it's like to say that one wouldn't be good without the other. They're intertwined in history together for the rest of their lives. So you may be right. One isn't good without the other. May not be good without the other. But don't say one would be better without the other and the other wouldn't be good without the other. Like to say, oh, I think Belichick would have been still had 6 rings without Tom Brady.
I mean,
Or Tom Brady would have 6 rings without Belichick. I disagree with both of those assessments. So
I mean, Belichick actually, I feel like he could have done better just because of the fact he already had success before that. Like he had success with the Giants and the
as a
Browns.
defensive coordinator, it's a different breed when you coach in defense and you have the greatest football player of all time on your defense.
That defense did kind of stop the Jim Kelly and the Bills were one of the greatest offenses and greatest teams. They just couldn't pull it off.
Underrated defense too.
Mm-hmm.
It was just they choked. That's all it was.
Yeah.
That team should have at least won 2 championships.
Yeah.
But they choked.
There's no reason they should have lost to the Giants. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, they squandered that one. I think that one came down to a last second field goal. But it is what it is. Things happen.
And then the Broncos, that defense or that offense is John Elway. You know, that defense was also really great, but that offense is very hard to stop, you know, with John Elway being up there. And the defense was able to stop them, partly because of Bill Belichick.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. He's a great defensive mind. You know,
so,
but coaching
had success.
Yeah, coaching defense and coaching, offense is 2 different things. As a head coach, he hadn't had any success, and that's what matters. That's like trying to give Shanahan a pass because he had success as an offensive coordinator, but not as a head coach yet.
I mean, with the Browns?
I'm talking about, yes, as a head coach. When Bill Belichick did not garner success as a head coach until he got with Tom Brady. Not to say
he did good with the Browns though.
What did he do with the Browns?
He took them to the playoffs, I'm pretty sure.
Would they win?
I mean, I think they lost pretty early, but he still did that as a head coach. And
you seen his coaching staff too?
That is true.
This coaching staff was remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, you rattle off some of those guys. Hall of Fame. Bill Parcells was there when in the Giants, and he passed them down to them. They had like Eric Mangini, Nick Saban, who else? Everybody. I can't even think off the top of my head. I gotta go look. But look at the coaching staff that they had in Cleveland.
I do remember that Nick Saban was in there. So he's probably one of the greatest coaches in college football.
That's what I'm saying. He is the greatest.
Yeah. And
that's what I'm saying. He was there too.
Mm-hmm. So but like Tom Brady's success was also of course, as I said, you can't take away any of those pieces, but like Tom Brady, like if you think about it, like a lot of that Patriots team, whenever you think about the Patriots, it's Tom Brady. You don't think about like Adam Vinatieri whenever you think about the games, right? So he gets a little bit too much of the credit. I'm not saying that he's not a great quarterback. He just gets a little bit of the credit, more than he should be.
I think it's Bill Belichick being the architect, so I feel like he should get majority of the credit. But I think it's like 55-45. I don't think it's 50. It should be 50-50. I think Bill Belichick should get majority of the credit. But I do think Tom Brady should get more credit than he deserves. He's done something that nobody's ever been able to do. There have been teams that have had the best defense of all time, or one of the best defenses, or the top 5 defense, a top 3 defense.
Was one of the best of all time. Junior Seau, Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis.
I wouldn't put them in that conversation.
They're not
I love me some Ty Law, but I'm not putting them in a sentence with the 02 Bucks, or the 2000 Ravens, or the 85 Bears, or the 77 Steelers, or
a lot of those players are Hall of
the 2013, the 2012 Seahawks. They're not in that conversation.
Junior Seau. I mean,
I get it.
I mean that's
Willie
a great
McGinnis,
team.
Ty Law, Rodney Harrison. I get it. Yeah.
I would say that's a great defense. That's a pretty great defense. I mean,
It is. That's why they were top 5, top 10 for as long as I can remember.
they were
That's what I'm
probably the number
saying.
one. They were probably one of the best defenses at the time. Like they were probably the number one.
Yeah. Nah, they weren't number one. I think they were number one year, and that was the first year Tom Brady won, 2001, I think. But we got to wrap this up because I got to get upstairs.
Oh yeah,
we
my
got to
bad.
wrap this one up.
My bad.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so let's just wrap it up, I guess. All right.
It was beautiful talking to you, man.
Yep.
Hey, I love coming over here. Maybe we could do it again some other time.
Maybe we can bring you and OJ on here at some point.
Maybe we can do it at the same time. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. And maybe have like a kind of like a debate thing going on with me and him. That'd be great.
Yeah, all right. So
talk to him about it. We could set it up maybe in a month or so.
maybe I'm supposed to be getting him on another podcast as well. So all right.
Sign me up.
Yeah. All right. So maybe look forward to that, guys. I'll definitely try to be setting that up and hope to see you again. If you like this, share it, follow me. And if you can, give me a 5-star rating. That'll help. And hope to see you next time, guys. See ya.
Got you. My TikTok, OGDaBeast_sports. My YouTube channel is OGDaBeast. Every social media platform, OGDaBeast. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. That was a pleasure talking to you.
No problem.
All right. See ya.